In this tutorial, we'll go over editing some of the wall heights and their base constraints so that we can prepare this project to put a roof and ceilings in. If you look at in the 3D view of your project, you'll be able to see that remember there's this gap between the bottom of our walls and the top of the foundation walls. That got filled in a little bit with our floor, but we still, typically as you drive around town and you look at homes, you'll see finishes that come down to the top of the foundation wall. So to get the finishes to come to the top of the foundation wall, I'm going to change what the base constraint of these walls are. I'm going to select all of the exterior walls by selecting one, right mouse clicking and saying select all instances visible in this view, and it will get all of my exterior walls. And then I'm going to come to my properties box. The base constraint has been set to first floor up to this point, but I'll now change that to say I want the base of my walls to go down to the foundation level. The other thing that I want to make a change with here is also the height of my walls. We need to set the height of our walls to be able to carry the loads of our roof. And the roof, if you reference that wall section that was the handout where we set our levels, the roof is going to be sitting at the top plate level. So I'm going to change the top constraint of these exterior walls at this point to not be unconnected anymore, but to say they will go up to level top plate. Now if I make those two changes, you'll see that your finishes have gone down to the foundation and the height of your walls have adjusted to be at the top plate level. The nice thing about tying the heights of walls to levels is that if we have a revision where, let's say, a client wants to change from an 8-foot ceiling height to a 9-foot ceiling height, all we would need to do is go to our elevation view, change the height of that elevation, and our walls would change with it, and we can accommodate 9-foot ceilings instead of 8-foot ceilings real quickly. Once we've done that, you'll see that we have some issues here at the garage. Our garage door is still sitting at the first floor, both the entry on the side and the main garage door. And so if I want to correct those, I need to move those down to the grade level. So if I select both those doors and come to the properties box and change them from being at first floor level to the grade level, I'll go ahead and move them downward. Now when I do that, it didn't cut out my foundation wall. We call it a block out. So it didn't block out my foundation wall where that garage door is. The reason it didn't block that out is because the brick wall is hosting the garage door and the foundation wall is not hosting it right now. To get the garage door to cut out both walls, we need to make a relationship between those walls. The relationship is created by doing what is called an attachment. So if I select the brick wall, I have a tool that will show up in my ribbon under Modify Wall over here that says Attach Top/Base. So I'm going to pick that tool and I'm going to go to my options bar and change to the base option because I'll be working with the base of the wall. And then if I simply select my foundation wall, I've made a relationship between those two, the brick and the foundation wall, and now my garage door will cut out both of them instead of just the one. Now I need to do the same thing to this side if I have a door over here. Again, I'd pick this brick wall, say attach the base to the foundation, and now we'll cut out or block out that concrete foundation wall. Another thing that I want to do is I'm going to cut a wall section and start to create a view that I can use to put on a drawing later. And if I cut that wall section, I'm going to go to my first floor plan, go to the View tab, and I'm going to go to the Section tool. I will come to my Properties or Type Selector box and change from a building section to a wall section. That will change how it's categorized in my browser. and I'm going to cut a wall section just by picking 2 points right here through that portion of my exterior wall. This little dash box that you're seeing right here that comes up after you've created this wall section, it defines the extents of your view, both say left and right, and the depth of it. If I do not want to see this wall in my section view, I can grab that end of the rectangle and drag it inward so that I'm not seeing that deep. The other thing, if you're familiar or not with wall sections and these little symbols that get created, these are called little flags at the end, and this triangle and the flag will point you to the direction that the view is looking. And that has now created a wall section view in my project browser. If I go into my project browser, I have a category called Sections, Wall Section, and I can double click on that, and I have a view that's being created for me now. I can increase my detail level to fine. I can set my visual style to become consistent colors, and I'll start to see some more detail in this wall section. The next thing I'm going to do is also change its scale. Wall sections have varying scales. Sometimes they're a 1/2 inch equals a foot or 3/4 inch equals a foot. We'll use a 1/2 inch equals a foot for this. When I get this wall section started to clean up, I see that I have an issue right here where I have this. When I extended my walls down to the foundation, it wasn't just the brick that came down, it was also my studs and sheetrock and so forth. To clean this up, what I need to do is do another attachment. I need to make a relationship between the floor and the wall now. To do that, I'm going to select this wall, right mouse click, and say select all instances in the entire project, because I want to work with all the walls that go around the floor, not just this one. So I'll say in entire project, and then I'll say attach the base, and I'll pick the floor. You'll have this message that comes up. This message is not an error message, it's actually just a warning message. Warning messages can be ignored where errors can't. This is just referring to the 2 walls over in the garage area that do not interact with this floor. So I'm just going to ignore it and say, okay, it doesn't really matter to me. When I've made that attachment, you'll see that your brick will stay down to the foundation wall. Your studs and sheetrock will jump back up on top of the floor. Let's go look at our 3D view again and just see how things are beginning to take shape here. If I orbit around, it looks like I've closed every gap off. I'm in pretty good shape to be able to start creating ceilings and then a roof for this project. If I wanted to bring these walls down to the top of foundation and clean up this gap area in there, I could. Simply by selecting those 2 walls, changing their base constraint to foundation, making sure their top constraint goes to top plate, and they'll get cleaned up there.